The scene starts with a black woman, clearly distressed, sitting in a dimly lit room, surrounded by a group of police officers who seem to be enjoying their power in the worst possible way. The tension is thick, and the officers, who should be serving and protecting, are doing the exact opposite. They're mocking her, making her feel small, and crossing every line of decency. It's a moment that many people of color know all too well, facing systemic disrespect and dehumanization in the most vulnerable of situations. But just when it seems like things couldn't get worse, something unexpected happens. The door slams open, and in walks her big brother. He's not some bystander. He's not just another person standing idly by. This is her protector, her advocate, and he's not here to play. The officers freeze, the atmosphere shifts. His presence commands the room. But what happens next will leave you on edge. Will he stand his ground, or will the situation escalate even further? One thing is for sure, the balance of power is about to shift. Stay tuned to see how this intense moment unfolds. The officers hesitate, glancing at each other, trying to read the situation. Her brother, towering and filled with purpose, steps into the room like someone who's seen too many injustices and won't stand for another one. He's got that look in his eyes, the kind that says, asterisk, I'm not afraid to fight for what's right, asterisk. He's the older sibling, always the one to stand up, always the one to make sure no one messes with his sister. But today, the stakes are higher. The room feels like it's closing in as the officers size him up, trying to gauge what kind of man they're dealing with. His sister, still sitting there, her face a mix of anger and humiliation, knows what's coming. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. She's faced the system's harshness a whole life. But it's different now. She's not alone anymore. As the tension builds, you can almost hear the quiet ticking of a clock in the background. Her brother isn't just about to make a scene, he's about to make a statement. But the question remains, will his courage be enough to stand up to the authority in that room? The standoff lingers, and with every second, it feels like everything is on the edge of exploding. Her brother's eyes scan the room quickly, assessing each officer. He knows the risks. One wrong move, one misstep, and the situation could spiral into something far worse. But his sister's humiliation has ignited something in him, something deeper than just anger. It's a fire that's been burning in him for years, fueled by the countless times he's watched her fight battles she shouldn't have had to fight in the first place. Now, standing in front of her, it feels like everything is on the line. The officers, still trying to maintain control, glance nervously at their superior, a man who's clearly not used to being challenged. His posture stiffens, but he doesn't speak. The silence is thick, oppressive. Meanwhile, her brother's voice finally breaks through the quiet, calm, but with an undeniable edge. What exactly do you think you're doing here? His words are sharp, but there's a controlled force behind them that immediately shifts the power dynamic in the room. His sister's eyes flicker up, relieved but anxious at the same time. She knows her brother's not afraid to fight for her, but this situation could escalate quickly. She's seen it happen before. When people speak out against authority, the backlash can be brutal. But there's also the question of whether or not they'll back down. Her brother's reputation precedes him, but so does the weight of systemic injustice. Would it even matter? Her heart races as she watches the officers exchange glances. She wonders, asterisk, is this really happening? Asterisk, for so long, she's felt powerless, at the mercy of a system that doesn't protect her, only judges her. But her brother, he's the anchor in this storm. Still, she can feel the pressure mounting, the situation precariously teetering between confrontation and full-blown conflict. She wants to believe he can protect her, but there's a dark part of her that knows how quickly things can go wrong when the stakes are this high. The tension in the room stretches like a rubber band about to snap. The officers are silent, but it's clear they're sizing up the situation too, calculating how far they can push before the consequences become too real. And then, just as she feels like her chest might explode with the weight of the moment, her brother takes another step forward, his tone low but resolute. I don't care what you think you can do. What I do care about is that my sister is treated with respect. But the question still lingers. What happens next? Will the officers finally back off, or is this just the beginning of a much bigger confrontation? The silence feels suffocating now, the kind of stillness that precedes a storm. Her brother stands tall, his gaze never wavering from the officer in charge. The others are now fully aware. This isn't just a disagreement. This is a showdown, and he's not backing down. His sister's heart is racing, but she's torn between hope and fear. She can see the tension in the officer's body language. They're waiting for something. But what? Her brother's voice breaks through the air again, steady but firm. You're making a mistake. The words hang in the air, heavy, daring them to challenge him. The officer in charge finally shifts, his eyes narrowing. There's a flicker of annoyance, but also uncertainty. He's not used to being confronted like this, especially not in front of his colleagues. But the moment doesn't break. Not yet. Her brother takes another step forward, closing the space between them, and that's when one of the other officers speaks up, his voice sharp. Back off now. You don't know who you're messing with. The threat is clear, but her brother doesn't flinch. He doesn't even blink. His sister feels her pulse quicken as she watches the tension boil over, wondering if this is the breaking point. The officer's hand hovers near his belt. The air feels charged, the potential for violence hanging in the balance. Her brother's stance remains unshaken, but she can see the flicker of doubt in his eyes. He knows the consequences if things escalate. It's the kind of moment that feels like it could snap at any second. Her mind races, wondering if the officers will finally back down, or if the situation will spiral beyond control. The door is still wide open, but she feels trapped in the room. The seconds stretch, each one like a ticking bomb. Will the officers finally make a move? Or will her brother's unshakable resolve be enough to turn the tide? She knows one thing for sure: everything is about to change. But how? That she doesn't know yet. The waiting, the silence, it's unbearable. Just as her brother steps forward again, the sound of heavy footsteps echoes from a hallway. It's a new presence, but the urgency in those steps sends a chill down her spine. Her heart skips a beat as the door opens wider, and another officer enters the room. This time, it's the sergeant, a figure she's only heard about in whispers. His reputation precedes him, and it's not one built on kindness. His cold eyes scan the scene immediately, his face unreadable, but the tension in the room doubles in an instant. Her brother tenses, his jaw clenches, and for the first time she sees a flicker of doubt in his eyes. The surgeon's reputation is well known. He's brutal, unapologetic, and has no tolerance for anyone who challenges authority. This is a man who doesn't hesitate to escalate a situation if it suits him. Step back, the sergeant orders, his voice low, but carrying the weight of authority. He's not just a police officer. He's the kind of person who can make or break careers with a single command. Her brother doesn't move. He's not intimidated, but his gaze locks on the sergeant, sizing up this new threat. Then, with a flash of movement, the sergeant makes a sharp signal to one of the other officers. Suddenly, the woman's sister is pulled roughly from her seat by two of them, her body jolting as they hold her in place. She gasps, her breath catching in her throat, but before she can speak, her brother's voice erupts, a fierce shout cutting through the air. Let her go. Everything happens so fast. The surgeon's eyes flash with cold amusement as he watches the scene unfold. Her brother is now in the thick of it, and the room feels like it's closing in on them both. The stakes are higher now. If things go south, there won't be any coming back. The tension that had been brewing is now a full-fledged storm, and in the split second before anyone reacts, everything is on the verge of exploding. The officer's hands tighten, their grips more forceful, and it's clear they're trying to provoke him, to push him past the point of reason. His sister's eyes widen in terror, knowing exactly what could happen if her brother loses control. He's always been the protector, but now he's in the danger zone. Will he keep his cool, or will the sergeant's power play push them both too far? In the middle of the chaos, her brother's calm voice cuts through. "You're making a huge mistake." The words hang in the air, as heavy as the tension, but the sergeant just smirks. His response: "Let's see how long you can hold that line." The room is suffocating now, the tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. Her brother's eyes are locked onto the sergeant, but she can see him starting to unravel. The officers have her sister gripped, and the way they're holding her, the way they're pushing her around, it's a threat. A warning. The sergeant knows exactly what he's doing, testing every last ounce of her brother's resolve. But her brother doesn't back down. He steps forward again, his voice low but powerful. "You will let her go, now." The sergeant's smirk widens, his fingers tapping on his belt. "Or what?" he asks, the words dripping with arrogance. And just like that, her brother's entire demeanor shifts. There's no fear in his eyes anymore, only resolve. "Or I'll make you," he says, his tone like a whisper that feels louder than any shout. The sergeant's eyes flicker, unsure of how to react to the intensity in her brother's gaze. But then, just as the sergeant opens his mouth to respond, something unexpected happens. The door swings open, and in walks a second figure. It's another officer, but this one is different, older, with a commanding presence that immediately changes the dynamic in the room. He's not just anyone. He's the chief, the one who runs things. Her heart skips a beat, but then the relief rushes in. She's heard whispers about this man. He's not like the others. He doesn't tolerate corruption or mistreatment. He sees the system for what it is, and he doesn't let power abuse fly under his watch. "Enough," the chief commands, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. The officers freeze, and for a split second, the room is dead silent. The chief's gaze moves from one officer to the next, settling on the sergeant last. "You're done. All of you," he says. "This ends now." The sergeant's smirk falters, his confident posture crumbling. The room shifts in an instant, and for the first time, the officers look unsure, like the rug has been pulled from under them. The chief turns to her brother, his expression softer. "You did well," he says, as if he's been watching everything unfold from the shadows. But just as her brother breathes a sigh of relief, something even more shocking happens. The chief turns to her sister, his expression darkening. "And as for you," he begins, pausing, "we have a bigger problem to address." Her sister's heart races, and she can feel her brother stiffen next to her, wondering what new twist is coming. The chief steps closer, his eyes narrowing with an unexpected twist. "Your case," he says, "it's already been flagged. There's more to this than you know." Her mind spins. What could he possibly mean? Before she can even ask, the chief motions for his officers to release her, but his final words echo in her mind like a haunting truth. This isn't over, not by a long shot. The air feels thick again, the tension unresolved, leaving her with more questions than answers. The story is far from finished, and the real battle, whatever that may be, is only just beginning. Her mind races, trying to make sense of the chief's cryptic words. "Your case has been flagged. What do you mean by that?" Her heart pounds as she watches him walk out of the room, his officers trailing behind. The sergeant, still reeling from the chief's intervention, says nothing. He just watches, stunned, as the tension finally begins to lift. But her brother doesn't take his eyes off the chief. The weight of the moment lingers, like the calm after a storm. As the last officer exits, her brother turns to her, his face a mixture of exhaustion and relief. "You okay?" he asks, his voice quieter now, the adrenaline fading. She nods, not trusting her voice to do more than whisper, but the relief that floods her chest is overwhelming. She never imagined this day would end like this. So much fear, so much anger, and yet, here they are, standing together, stronger than before. But the mystery of the chief's words stays with her. She knows that whatever he meant, the truth isn't as simple as she thought. It's been a long time coming, and the fight for justice isn't over yet. There's more to the story, So much more she hasn't uncovered, things that are about to change everything. Later that evening, she sits with her brother, both of them reflecting on what happened. They know this was a victory, but it doesn't feel complete.